United Kingdom, and you're watching Chris Strub's Road Trip Recall, episode number 51.
Watertown, New York. If you don't live in New York, or Canada, or Vermont, there's a good probability you've never even heard of Watertown, New York. Let's set the context here. Summer 2015, visited nonprofit youth organizations in all 50 U.S. states in 100 days. I returned back to my apartment in Greenville, South Carolina on August 21st. And I spent the next 6-7 weeks or so looking for a job in South Carolina. And I failed. Out of college, I went to school in Binghamton in upstate New York. I had a job as a copy editor, page designer, and a web guy at the Press and Sun Bulletin, is the local Gannett paper in Binghamton. And I worked for a guy named Al Vieira. I loved working for Al in Binghamton. Just a really nice, down-to-earth guy. He's been in the business forever. Used to work at USA Today. He's a huge, huge fantasy baseball fan. He's a dad. His kids are awesome. One of them is a musician out of Pittsburgh. So when Al took a job in Watertown, I was one of the first people that he called when he was trying to recruit people to come work for him at the Watertown Daily Times. Again, this was fall 2015. And when he told me Watertown, New York, I had to look it up, admittedly. He's like, oh yeah, Fort Drum is here. Fort Drum is right down the road, so this place is awesome. And he admittedly did a good job of selling me on the city. Oh boy, Fort Drum right down the road. What I didn't realize as he was selling me the concept of Fort Drum being nearby is that you're not allowed to go to Fort Drum. It's not like Disney World. It's a base that most people, even reporters, aren't allowed to go visit. I lived in Watertown for 7 months? I never even considered going to Fort Drum because it's just not a thing that people do. But I wanted to talk a little bit today about my first impressions of Watertown. So fast forward a little bit, I accepted the job, yada, yada, yada. Took a 2-day road trip from Greenville up to Watertown. I got a flat tire about an hour away before I even got to Charlotte, I got a flat tire on the way north from Greenville because I had so much stuff in my car. I didn't check the air pressure in my tire. So that was a really great start to the trip. I remember that night I was on the phone with my sister. She was helping me look for apartments in Watertown, and we narrowed it down to a few. And I got up there, I'm pretty sure it was a Sunday that I got up there, and I met the landlord. I went in, checked out the apartment, and I was like, yep, I'll take it. She was like, you'll take it? I'm like, yeah, I got my stuff. We're running out of daylight. I'd love to get all this stuff inside before nightfall. Where do I sign? And so there I was in Watertown. Now, I lived in a nice neighborhood in Watertown, although I would say I think it's hard to find different neighborhoods in Watertown. I mean, you're basically in Watertown or you're not. Like, oh, this place is close to the office. Yeah, it's because the city is tiny and everything is close to the office. But the neighborhood was beautiful. It was really great. It looked a lot, like this. Tons and tons of beautiful trees. Autumn is a great time to go check the place out. Of course, being way north, I mean, again, you're more or less in Canada. It is one of the snowiest cities in the United States. And I would say that most people who move to Watertown, be it for a job or whatever, probably don't do it in October. I never really settled into living in Watertown. I did Strub Snap Swaps, which was a 50-day Snapchat project. You can go back and rewatch 98% of it on my YouTube channel. So do that. And so I explored a little bit. I went west a little bit during that project, but I don't know. I never really felt like part of the Watertown community. Another part of it was, working nights and weekends. I'm up until 3 o'clock in the morning. I would go to Planet Fitness after work. I got pulled over once driving to Planet Fitness for no reason, other than that I was driving through this completely empty city at 1:30 in the morning. And so there had to be something suspicious, right? I don't know. I feel like there's probably more to Watertown that I never even really explored. It was all right. tell you the single scariest memory I have of Watertown was driving from Watertown, and I lived pretty close to Route 81, so that if that gives you some context, it's right on 81. Driving down 81 from Watertown to the Syracuse airport a few days before Summit Live 2016. Petrifying. I mean, you cannot see anything out your window when you get caught in that lake effect snow. And boy, did I get caught in it. Good Lord. I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to have to turn around and not go to the airport. Because when you're driving through it, you have no idea when this stuff is going to stop. You know, and in all seriousness, you're driving and 1 second you can't see anything. And then the next moment, it's perfectly clear. It is insane the way the lake effect snow works up in upstate New York. In fact, it's so bad up there, and everyone knows how bad it is, that we had a lot of just friendly sort of banter discussions on the copy desk. I know I just mentioned Dan and Dennis and Zach, my colleagues, and one of the inside jokes that we had was building a tunnel, like building like a plexiglass tunnel of some sort over Route 81 that's sort of heated, you know, that keeps the snow off of the road, because it's just impossible to get around in upstate New York, specifically between cities, when it snows like that. And of course, it was written into our contracts. You cannot miss work. You know, when you work at the newspaper, there are no weather delays. Like, you are absolutely required to be there no matter what. And so there were some pretty wild days just trying to get to work. And I lived a mile from work, if that. I mean, it gets crazy up there. Now, I don't want to sit here all day and just talk about Watertown. This is supposed to be Road Trip Recall, not full chapter of your life recall. But Watertown is where I wrote 50 States, 100 Days, the book. So if you haven't got your copy of the book yet, do it. Go to teamstrub.com, check it out on Amazon. Definitely the best book I've ever written, and absolutely forever the best book I've ever written in Watertown. I can pretty much assure you, 99.999% sure I won't write another book someday in Watertown. But it was fun. It was cool, and it's worth checking out. I guess I should probably end with like a piece of advice about Watertown, huh? I guess I would say go to Drex Subs and get a meatball sub. Meatball sub was pretty good. Or the Krogan bologna. I didn't try Krogan bologna until my last day in Watertown. Apparently that's a big thing up there too. Thanks for watching episode 51. Get the book, written in Watertown, New York. Check out teamstrub.com. Make sure you subscribe here on YouTube for more episodes of Road Trip Recall. And I'll see you next time for episode 52. Adios.